I'm Michael Buser. As we travel across the country talking about our national whole chain traceability system, stakeholders often ask us what our long-term vision for the system would be. And to us, it's simple. If you could go into a grocery store, pick up a frozen dinner, and be able to scan a QR code and rapidly be able to identify where each one of the individual products came from, whether it be the beef, whether it be the potatoes, the green beans, or even the mushrooms in the gravy. That would be our long-term vision. Number two is food security. Food insecurity in the United States and around the world has generally caused the inability to effectively get available food to those in need, or because of food waste. There are some estimates that suggest that the United States wastes roughly 50% of the food that it has available. Every time we have a food safety recall in the United States, we pull tons and tons of product off the shelf, and we end up disposing of that product. If we could decrease the amount of time needed to identify the source of contamination, we could probably reduce the size of the recall. By reducing the size of the recall, we could reduce food waste and thereby improve food security. The third reason is profitability of U.S. producers and processors. If we're able to rapidly identify the source of contamination in a multi-food product, we can save our export markets, saving the industry billions of dollars. To develop such a traceability system, as some would call for widgets, or for all types of commodities, it sounds relatively easy. However, when we start to think about the process, it becomes a lot more difficult. Some of these difficulties include, how would we access that information? If you think about a huge centralized data silo with databases for beef products, for dairy products, for poultry products, for watermelon, for different fruits and vegetables, we're talking about a massive database, a massive amount of information. It's foreseeable that such a database may be accessed up to 1 million times a second on a regular basis. So the technology challenges become, how do I set up a system that can be remotely accessed through the internet and be able to handle 1 million plus transactions per second? And how do I store this data? The information that's needed for beef cattle products is totally different than the information that would be needed for, say, watermelon. In order to overcome that challenge, we would have to work with stakeholders to identify and standardize the records that go into this whole chain traceability system. Researchers would have to develop search engines in order to query this large database or large databases. These queries would be set up so that it could help government agencies more rapidly identify the vital information needed to identify the origin of an animal disease outbreak or food safety event. Our vision of developing a whole chain traceability system for widgets, or a system that can handle information for beef products, poultry products, swine products, fruits, vegetables, or any other commodity, is technology feasible. However, to develop such a system, it's going to require tremendous resources and support from our stakeholders. We see those stakeholders as being local producers, processors, government agencies, equipment manufacturers, vendors, etc., even consumers. We could save local producers and processors millions, if not billions of dollars annually. We could also, by identifying food safety contaminants much more rapidly, could protect the public. And finally, we could increase food security in the United States and across the world.